Hey to LA fam, thank you once again for joining us for another adventure, and today we're going to break the mold a little bit. We're going to give you our honest review of our time on the Carnival Jubilee right here from our cabin. Welcome
to Love and Adventure.
Hello. Yeah. All right, so we're doing something a little different today. We normally don't make a review video while we're on our cruise or our trip, but we're going to do that now so we don't forget anything. This will just give you our honest opinion of the Carnival Jubilee, the cruise that we're on right now, which had stops in Roatan and Cozumel and Cozumel. We'll talk about that later. And 7-day cruise, brand new ship, about maybe 6-7 months, 4 to 6 months old. All right, so embarkation, getting on the ship. What did you think of that process?
That was pretty seamless. We walked up, handed someone our bags, and pretty much proceeded through the checkout process. We did not have to get our photo taken. Thankfully, I think they used our passport photos.
Yeah,
that was helpful and different.
Mm-hmm. So they just scan it, use that photo. It was very quick. I think from the time that we got out of literally got off the shuttle to we were on the ship was about 20 minutes. So not bad at all.
Not bad.
And that included handing the people our luggage, giving them their tip and all of that. So we got on the ship day one. Really didn't do much.
Really, that's all we did was walk the ship, check out the buffet.
Yep, that's true.
And notice some differences about this ship versus others that we have been on. I think one of the big differences, you mentioned it every time we go in the elevators.
That's true.
The lack of diversity in elevators. So on other Carnival cruise or other cruises we've been on, they're usually a big set of elevators in the middle. I forget what they call that big middle center stage area. There's usually a bank of elevators there, and then a bank in every portion of the ship. So what's the front of the ship, midship, and then aft. This time there's still the 3 banks, but there's not that extra set of center stage bank of elevators. So the elevator situation was kind of different.
Yeah, and it reminded me at least of like an MSC or a Royal Caribbean cruise, because one thing about Carnival is that big bank with kind of the cylindrical or round elevators. Anyone's ever been on a Carnival cruise, you know what I'm talking about. Rather than the regular standard looking elevators, they have those ones that, like you said, in the center, and you can see through them, you know, down at the big veranda or whatever that area is called, the center of the ship. So that's more convenient. This one is not as convenient. It just reminded us of a different feel, not a Carnival ship. Not good or bad, just different. Buffet, we've gone a few times. We went this morning for breakfast. We actually like the way that the buffet is, the widthness of the aisles. You're not really running into people in the buffet area. They did have enough space for that. The selection was pretty good. They have these different bays. These different bays, you just walk to one and you can get it, and this basically they just keep repeating, and they're on both sides of the ship as well, and down the middle bays that I was just referring to.
Instead of that normal situation where you walk around and experience everything 2 or 3 times, but you have to go in a big circle, and bumping into each other the whole way around. This time you go in one bank. If that's the bank closest to your elevator, you just go in that bank, get food off of that area, and go to a seat. And as he mentioned, the walkways are pretty spacious in the food areas.
And that leads us to our next thing. The common areas, just walkways in general, especially on the outside decks on like Lido, where you're outside looking at the sea, or deck 8, or just any of those decks where you can walk along the outside of the ship. Very tight. Really, it's only one-way traffic. If someone's coming your way, you got to step off to the side.
You almost look like you're dancing with
Yeah. So it's kind of one-way traffic, and if you see me keep looking out, I'm looking down at our planner so we can kind of get what we've done each day. So that was one negative, but again, give and take. Next, the Jubilee Theatre. the Jubilee, the theater on this ship, for it to be such a big ship, they say that it has, there are about 6,000 passengers on today. I don't know what the capacity is. I'll try to look that up and put it on the screen. And a little over 1,000 employees, so about 7,000 people on this ship. And it kind of feels like they did not have enough employees or staff. But anyway, Jubilee Theatre. So the way that is, most of the Carnival cruises, or even any cruise that we've been on, the main theater is usually 2 stories. You're able to reach it from 2 levels.
2 or 3.
Or 3, right. This one, not so much, just level 7. There was an entrance, I guess, on level 6 where it was for like wheelchair access and, you know, the scooters, things like that. But the main way is just level 7. And then the way that they have it, it's not stadium style. It's kind of like the old school decline, where if the person is tall or has a hat on in front of you, you can't see. You're not going to be able to see the front of the stage. You'll be able to see the stage, but if a performer gets off in front of the stage, you really can't see them. Because I actually there was a show we went to called Soulbound, and the guy in front of me just kept. So I'm like, bro, be still. I'm trying to get something.
He was restless.
He was very restless, and you know, he wasn't that tall, but and I'm 6 foot, so you know, it doesn't matter, tall or not, you're gonna get blocked. That also leads us to the other entertainment, the Limelight Theater. So Limelight, rather, is the club, but Punchliner is also in there, which I don't think that's been the same on all of the other Carnival cruises that we've been on. It seems like they were in 2 different locations. They had the Limelight where the disco or whatever, and then the Punchliner was somewhere else. It might have doubled with something else, but I don't think it was in that club. And both of their, like I said, the Jubilee was not that big. Neither was the Punchliner.
No, the Punchliner wasn't big at all. They said that it held 200 people, but they allowed, there's like this huge sectional that spans the club, and so depending on how people sat and how they reserve seats, there may or may not be seats, and then there's individual chairs, but the seating situation just wasn't the best. It looked nice when you walked in, but
and there's a bar in there. There's not a bar in the Jubilee also. That's another thing.
Right.
All of the other big theaters, they had a bar, and you would actually get service in there. Not this one. If you wanted something to drink, you had to leave and come back with your drink. They had cup holders for the drinks, but no bar in there. But back to the Punchliner. This is by far the smallest Punchliner that we've seen in any of the ships that we've been on. And I think this is our 3rd or 4th Carnival ship, just different ships. So that's just something to think about. And so let's say, for instance, we went to a 9:30 comedy show. The guy's name was Spike Davis. He was the best comedian actually on there so far. And they had like 6 different comedians. Anyway, you had to be there at very minimum 30 minutes early. For 9:30, you had to be there at 9, and you're going to be in line. If you walked up at 9:15, you might be standing up, depending on the comedian. If you walked in at 9:30, you definitely standing up if you got in at all. So show up a little early. I'd recommend at least 30 minutes. Yeah. So next, we'll go to day 3 or day 2. We've been skipping around a lot. We didn't do bingo, not our thing, but they have that. They also have this center venue. It's actually accessible, kind of like when you first walk in the ship, that big area that she was talking about. I don't know what it's called. Atrium. Yeah. That's it. In that area, they normally have entertainment there where they do music and stuff. This area here, it was accessible from 6, 7, and 8. It was actually kind of cool. It actually looked bigger than the Jubilee Theater, the actual main theater. But yeah, we didn't go. She actually went to the spa. So I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, the spa, I went to their pamper party, which I don't know if you all have been on a cruise before and have gone to the spa, but the pamper party consists of them walking around putting items on your hand for you to apply to your own face, and then wipe off with a wet makeup wipe or whatever they give you, and then they try to sell you additional services at a steep discount, which actually the discounted prices weren't that bad, but you know, it was kind of set up to go for pamper party and then just be sold and not really pampered.
Yeah, and we're just a couple, you know, traveling. Our children are adults, so we're gonna actually have another cruise coming December, a family cruise. So we're gonna have the kids with us. But we didn't have kids, so we really can't speak on that as much. However, I will say that this theme for this cruise has been Dr. Seuss. We saw Thing 1, Thing 2 walking around, actually the Cat in the Hat. And there's a center area that has a virtual aquarium, kind of cool.
Dr. Inks.
Yeah, Dr. Ink's PhD is the name of it. That's the name of the bar, but that's literally right there, right above that Dr. Ink's. You'll see these. They look like windows, but they're just televisions inside, and they show a virtual. They had a virtual submarine, a Dr. Seuss aquarium, which was kind of cool, seeing all of the cartoon fishes and stuff in there. But that's accessible from 6 and 7 mid, and right across from that in that same area is the what's that fancy bar?
The Alchemy?
The Alchemy Bar is there, and the Alchemy Bar is also right next to Limelight and slash Punchliner, same area. Beautiful, beautiful ship. But again, the walkways are very narrow. And the days that they do photography, they're literally blocking. You're gonna photobomb if you're not paying attention. You walk right through their photo because there's no way. You have to wait for them to finish taking, or wait for the photographer to maybe step up a little so you can walk behind them.
Or find a little cut.
Or that, yeah.
On the side.
So just something to keep in mind. Pay attention when you're walking around because you will walk right through someone's photo, or right into someone because there's just not a lot of space for two-way traffic. In the major walkways. In the eating areas, plenty of space. One thing also that I will say, I liked the food a lot more than she did. The food options, if you're not us, the food options are gonna be fine. We don't eat dairy, although we broke that rule completely. So yeah, just keep that in mind as well. The venues that we went to the Italian restaurant, didn't like it at all. And that leads us to the amount of employees that they have on the ship as opposed to the amount of passengers. Just to me, it may just be me, but every specialty restaurant that we went into, we only went into 2. Busy, very, very busy, and the service was a little lagging. Not that it wasn't good service, it's just they were kind of slow, just based on the amount of people that they had to. And one other thing, all of our desserts that were refrigerated were frozen. We had key lime pie twice, as well as a banana cream pie yesterday that were almost frozen solid all the way through. So not sure what that was about, but that's also a negative. Food venue. So we went to the Pig and Cork. That's Guy's restaurant. That one was actually really good. One of the best meals that we've had. They had the banana cream pie there. It was something else, but it's basically banana cream pie. But we both had the smoked salmon. Best salmon we've had on the ship. I had the slaw. It was a homemade coleslaw. Excellent. She didn't have that. Oh, the baked beans. Baked beans are okay also. Baked beans, so if you're a vegetarian or vegan, you can't eat those because it has brisket infused in it. We just went ahead and rolled with it. We put our life in their hands and did.
Picked around what we could.
We're basically pescatarian. No red meat, no pork, no chicken, nothing like that. Just seafood. Main dining room, hit or miss, really depending on what the menu was. But the service, excellent. So the swordfish wasn't good. Even if I wasn't feeling kind of under the weather, it was tough. It looked like a pork chop.
It did.
And it had the consistency of a tough pork chop. But our waiter, our service staff were like, oh my God, you want us to give us anything else? And I'm like, no. Almost to the point of annoyance. It's like, bro, I'm good. Just leave it alone. I don't need anything. But again, we were the boat was rocking a lot, so I wasn't feeling all that well. The seafood place was Rudy's Sea Grill. I liked it more than she did. We didn't have the same thing. I had the broiled lobster tail. She had the crab stuffed lobster tail. And
it felt like I was fighting and wrestling to get it out of it.
Too tough for her, yeah. I tasted it, flavor-wise, it was good.
It needed a little seasoning.
Yeah, again, different taste. So, what else did we get in there?
Oh, the appetizer. You really enjoyed the.
Oh my God,
the bisque. Was it lobster bisque?
Oh, perfect. It was a lobster and seafood bisque. Fancy. It's just a little bitty dab of whatever that seafood was. and they pour it on it at your table, right? The bisque, and you have to stir it up. But I thought it was excellent at that. The lobster tail, we had the key lime pie there for dessert, frozen solid. Didn't eat it. So the Italian restaurant was a fail. The seafood restaurant was good to me. The pork and whatever the
pig and pork. I think we called it.
He's
called it every variation of pig.
Pig in a blanket.
That exists.
The Piggly Wiggly. I just can't remember it. I know it's pork something.
Yeah.
That was good as well. So the seafood place and that place was excellent to me. And she actually enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
Just not quite as much as I did.
No, I don't think that. Of all the things we had, that was probably
main dining room.
The better.
Again, hit and miss depending on what the day was. Buffet food is buffet food. I mean, it's gonna be what it is. It really just depends on what you like. For instance, if you like burgers, you guys will be perfect for you. We had the veggie burger there. Man,
it was a potato.
It was
burger.
Basically a potato burger. It looked like a big hash brown that was rounded. So that wasn't that great. We were hungry. I think that was first day, so we got that. But again, their desserts have been really disappointing to me, just overall. Yeah. Most of the desserts have been pretty disappointing.
Now, the first day we got on, they had a gelato stand at the buffet. And they had coffee gelato, and I've been chasing that high ever since, and there has not been that high has not been satisfied.
As a matter of
There's
fact,
been gelato, but it's not been like that first batch that we got.
Yesterday, you got that one, and it hadn't been blended long enough. Apparently, what was that, tiramisu?
Yeah, and it was oil chunks or some sort of.
I got the mango one. It was okay, but the best that I've gotten so far, and I'm getting it again tonight because I saw it's on the menu, is the pineapple sorbet. It's vegan, vegetarian, non-dairy, if you're into that, but it was very good. It had little chunks of pineapple in it. Nom nom nom. So and things to keep in mind, when you're on this ship. I'm a gambler normally, but I play craps. They don't have craps tables on here, so that's, I walked through the casino and noticed they didn't have it, so I'm like, okay, I won't be back. Mostly they have roulette, card games, and slots, a bunch of slots. And we ran into somebody in line, actually at the Limelight, and his wife, he said my wife is a casino boss. They've won 6 free cruises just because of her gambling. I may have to get better on them dice.
Well, and I don't know, for those that don't smoke and do not appreciate the smell of smoke, there is not apparently, unless we missed it, there is not a smoke-free portion of the casino. No. Every time we walk through there, literally that smoke stayed with you until you got to your destination. So
in order to get to the Jubilee Theatre, you have to walk through the casino if you're on that level. Otherwise, you have to go above or below the casino. So that's kind of a negative as well. I couldn't find a way to get around the casino without going through the casino. I think going to that little atrium part, I think there was a part where you could go around there, but it was almost always full. So you're walking literally in front of people as they're sitting watching their show. So that was a bit of a headache, but you either have to walk through the casino or through that. And never went to guest services. We didn't see how long the line was. We try to handle everything we can on this thing, on the app. Make sure that our card's already set up. We don't really spend a ton of money on these cruises, not on the ship. We may off the ship. We like vanilla when we go to the ports. I get that from my mom. Oh, the shows. So the shows are actually all pretty good. Last night we saw a show called Love and Marriage. Hilarious. It's a show you can probably see multiple times because they ask for volunteers to come up out of the crowd. So obviously no two people are going to be alike. So that's going to make the shows different.
And I think the key to that is that it's married couples of various time frames of marriage. So there would be a brand new couple, and then there's a couple that's kind of midway, maybe 10 years or more, and then like the longest married couple in the room, which just so happened to be 60 years of marriage last night.
And they were funny.
They were hilarious.
Yeah. So they had one a week.
One week.
14 years.
14 years and then 60 years.
And the couple that was up there for 14, or had been married for 14 years, they had actually won the Family Feud line. And our cruise director was actually, she's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Kendall Fire. And she's actually the first, I think we may have had another woman that was a cruise director on the previous. She's the first, Oh, and we saw this thing called The Residency. It was in that middle part. So the shows overall were not bad. They were pretty good. We don't get in the pool, so if that's something you do, I'm sorry, we can't help you with that. We don't get in the. We just don't like people soup. I'm sorry, it's not our thing.
Now I will say, based off of all of the, because we watch a lot of other travel vloggers, so we've seen a lot of pools, although we don't get in them.
Right.
There is a lot of variety of pools here on the 8th floor, and then when you go up to the Lido deck, and then there's other little sub area pools
and the adults only pool
jacuzzis.
And jacuzzis. And the one thing I did notice that the hot tubs and jacuzzis, there weren't a lot of people in them at one time.
No,
we've only done that once. We've never been in a pool on a cruise, but we did do a jacuzzi. We actually watched a movie from the jacuzzi on one of our first cruises. And there's a jacuzzi just down. We're on the 15th deck. It's on deck 8, and it's literally right below us off to the side. You can see people. They were in there. We hadn't even left Galveston yet.
Right. they put their bags down and hopped in the hot tub.
And hopped in the hot tub. One thing also that I didn't realize is mini cruises, it seems like I should have known this before. I have to thank my baby for this. Let's just go straight to the room, because the room's probably going to be open because it was open the last time. I just assumed that our key's not going to be there because our bags aren't there. Well, we was tired, so we came straight to the room. Thank God keys were here. Yep. They were the last time. So I guess that's just a thing now. So maybe not even breaking any news with that.
Yep, go check for your keys. Right. You can probably get in your room.
Yeah. Okay, so there were 5 comedians. There was Spike Davis and DJ Cooch, Jimmy DeCrosta, Manny Oliveira, who we didn't see. Jimmy Delaval. Yeah, those 4. So Spike was funny. He was the funniest of the ones that we saw. They were on day 1 through 4. They left when we got to Roatan. I think we saw 3 of them. 2. 3 of them. We saw 3 casinos. We saw 3.
3.
Yeah. We haven't bought any photos. We took a post for a few of them, but we didn't buy any. But we got so much video and stuff equipment. We went bananas, I think, on our first or second cruise. Yeah. And there's some that we haven't even taken them out of the thing yet. They're still in the little sleeve that they gave us. So again, to each his own. If that's something that you want to do, fine. We travel enough to where we don't need to document it their way on every cruise.
Now we might do the family cruise and that's it.
Yeah. So final assessment. What is your, what would you give it grade 1 out of 10? This cruise?
I would give it an 8.
Same as well. I would give it an 8. But just to mention what she said, so this is the second cruise that we've been on where one of our destinations got canceled due to weather. Our last cruise, MSC cruise, it ended up turning into a cruise to nowhere because our one port that we were supposed to go to in the Bahamas, bad wind or heavy wind, so we couldn't go. This one, our main focus was Roatan, Honduras. We've never been there, and this was her birthday cruise. That was the day that actually on her birthday. We got it and we loved it. We actually booked our excursion on Viator, and it was excellent. Our guide was excellent. Everything about it was really, really nice. We loved the local feel of that, and learning the history from someone who actually lives on the island.
If I could mention, the only thing about booking outside tours, we love booking outside because you get a more authentic experience and it's usually cheaper, but they make it inconvenient for those tour companies because they want to incentivize you using the ship's tour guide, so they don't allow them to come into the gates, and so you have to walk usually up some elevation and out completely out of the port area to meet your tour guide.
Yeah, and one thing about Viator, at least in this instance, this is the first time we used it. There wasn't a lot of communication. You just know that you tell them to pick you up. You basically tell them where you want them to pick you up at. And in this case, it was the port in Mahogany Bay. We had no idea where they were going to be. We walk out, we're just asking people, where are they at? And they're like, oh, you got to go over there. So we asked about 2 or 3 people, finally got out and over the hill, went over to them, showed them my receipt, and he's like, oh yeah, you're gonna be with us. So we eventually got there, but it's a little, if you like to know everything, like if you're a control person like me, then it's gonna be a little unnerving just having that unknown until you finally get there. But they can bring you back in. It's just meeting them there is not. So you don't have to do that long walk when you come back, only on the way out.
We also did not have a definite pickup time. So, which I guess we should have interpreted that meant open, but we didn't know what that meant. So we didn't know if we were going to get out there and nothing would be there because we waited too long, or if they hadn't got there yet. But
Right.
they were out there waiting, which was nice.
And we started our tour at 10 a.m. and I think we got to the port at around 7, between 7 and 8. So they had been there for a while, I guess. Didn't ask him how long he had been there, but it was still a really cool tour. The same thing is true, I know, in Cozumel and Cozumel, but we've been there a few times, so we didn't do excursions there. Well, we did catch a cab to the opposite side of the island because there's this restaurant that we like to go to with the views and the food's good and the beaches are there. But there was a lot of seaweed on Cozumel on the eastern side of the island this time, and does not smell good.
It wasn't pleasant.
No, so we didn't
was a
stay
very
there that
quick.
long. And it had a lot of chitters. You're walking around through and you see all these bugs just jumping around. They're just making my skin crawl looking at them. Overall, for me, also, I would give it about an 8 to an 8.5. We were really excited about this cruise because one, it's the newest ship we've been on. It's Carnival's newest ship. So I think next we want to go on the Mardi Gras. We're thinking about going on a transatlantic cruise.
I want to say one more thing about the cruise.
Yeah.
Okay, so I went on my first cruise when I was 14, which was not that long ago. It was some time back. So for those who don't travel or cruise all the time, sometimes I think we believe that when we go somewhere else that we can get local goods outside of the port areas for reasonable prices. So, you come with a small shopping budget and thinking you'll pick up trinkets and whatnot for your family. Apparently the memo has been passed out and it doesn't matter where we were on the islands this time. There was a visitor price. Everything was pretty much like elevated pricing. I feel like it was almost like airline prices for local things.
Yeah, especially in Roatan. That was the one thing that was disappointing about it. So we went, saw the sloths and the monkeys. That was kind of cool. Then we went and had rum and rum cake tasting. That was also kind of cool. Then we get to this beach area, and it was a very touristy beach. It wasn't private or anything. Like every 5 minutes or more, you have someone walking over trying to sell you something. But the restaurant that he took us to, we shared 3 fish tacos, and I bought a Pellegrino or some kind of mineral water. Right. And can you say $30? Basically is what it cost. I think it was like $28 or something like that. Crazy. For 3 tacos. So again, the memo is out. Americans are on board, and this is what I think there was only 2 cruise ships in port that day too. And crazy thing is, like I mentioned, the bad weather caused us to not be able to go to Cozumel. We're looking forward to that because of MH Family Adventures, her channel. She was there recently and she showed us this place that has very good looking lobster tacos. She said it was the best taco she's ever had. She's had a lot of tacos, so we were looking forward to it. Not a big deal. We'll be back actually at the end of this year, and we're going to take the family there. So, but again, if you're really looking forward to a port and you travel during the off season like we do most of the time, even though May is not technically the off season, it's the beginning of the season. Bad weather may cause you to cancel your port, so you just have to be able to run with that. There's really nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. Just don't get so hung up on one particular port because you may not get to go on that port. I guess say your experience is mostly going to be the ship, and if you're really married to any one port, just try to get that out of your head because that may change. Anything else, man?
That's it about the ports.
All right. Yeah. Overall, the ship to me was about an 8 to an 8.5. The ports, I didn't know this as well. So at Cozumel, Carnival Cruise Port is different than the Royal Caribbean Cruise Port because we were just there in September and they're right next to each other but different ports. So that was something that I didn't know. I'm not sure about the Cozumel if they're different. I'm assuming they are, that they have different leases in different areas in the same island, but anything else you want to add? Oh, yeah.
Sorry, we did not talk about the room. The rooms are really nice. The shower was like actual human size. 2 people could not be in the restroom together, which you probably won't want to do on a cruise anyway. But the shower, I wasn't bumping on everything in the shower. The shower was a human size shower.
I guess 2 people can be on there if one's on the toilet.
And if one is in the shower and one is in the toilet, 2 people could be in there.
Right, but not really in that common area because she was brushing her teeth. I'm like, babe, I need to get in there. Spit. Yeah, that is a good call out. But yeah, everything else, and the rooms are pretty spacious. I like the way that they have a refrigerator in here. I'm not sure if they had that before. And the amount of plugs. We bought a little power strip, but really didn't need it because they have 4 USBs right there by the vanity. They have 3 regular plugs, and they have USBs by the bed. So yeah, just it's a lot. The fact that you can order room service from the app, didn't know that. Just learned that this trip. All of the drawers are soft close. This is a really nice run. We don't know what the interior ocean view looked like because we only do, I'm assuming it's the same thing, but just with a wall right there. But yeah, I think that's it. All right, hopefully that was helpful. Thanks, guys.